Speaking of car games,
Totally. Speaking,
playing
Ruby,
the car game.
the similarities are uncanny between the games we
We're so
played.
alike.
We are so alike. That's why
Yeah.
we're best friends. Is that I played a game where you have to work hard in the humdrum. Hey, over here. Give me the stick. I want the pointing stick. You have to work hard in the humdrum of day-to-day life in the wasteland to earn upgrades for your vehicle, because all you actually want to do is go driving with a vehicle that's actually kind of out of control and hard to drive. I went back and picked up the 2015 Mad Max open world game by Avalanche Studios because it's a game that was on my pile of shame list for a long time. And as a lot of people probably did as well, I went and saw Furiosa. I was excited by the sequel, the George Millerverse Mad Max sequel to Fury Road, which I adore. And I was like, this game slipped by, and it did for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was famously mundane in its reviews, or the scores that it got were 7s across the boards. It famously came out the same day as Metal Gear Solid Zero? Phantom? What was the
Okay.
full?
Phantom Pain?
It's Phantom Pain, the main
what
game.
year did this come out again?
2015.
2015.
Um,
Would that have been Phantom Pain? Maybe.
I-
No, that was 5 was
Maybe this wasn't. Did you say 20? You told me this is 2015.
This is 2015. Yeah, it was the same year as Fury Road.
Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
I read that, so I just believed it. But I think it was either that or the same. Correct
I
me
guess
if I'm
it could
wrong.
have been.
Round Zero Revengeance. Look, it came out at a time where
my life.
the gaming world was a bit fatigued of open world games. The gaming public,
Yeah.
I should say, were a bit tired of open world games. But it is an open world game in the classic sense of a large map that sets you out as Max, the titular Max. And this this game was made, for anyone who didn't know, it was made alongside Fury Road. Avalanche basically were given, George Miller greenlit a game to be based off, but then that slowly turned into inspired by, and in doing so, they got a heap of the lore and resources that were being used to make Fury Road and Furiosa, which was originally planned to be filmed back to back straight after Fury Road, and then I believe the Wasteland prequel. So George Miller had created all this lore. Avalanche Studios got it, and they built it into this open world game where it feels like, perfectly so, another version of the Max story, which I love about the Mad Max universe, is how it just doesn't really stick together when you try. But yes, you play as a very boring version of Max here, who finds himself abandoned in the wasteland early on because the enemy of the game, Scrotus, who is Rictus's brother, has taken your car, demolished it, and you're on a path of revenge. The story itself, the actual main campaign story, is pretty forgettable, and I really enjoyed that because it meant I could just focus on upgrading the car, upgrading Max, and just unlocking outposts. It is what open world games used to be, in the sense that it was just a big checklist.
Yeah.
And fun things would distract you in between. Open worlds have evolved beyond that these days to be a little more organic, and like they have to scratch different parts of your gaming needs while you're in them. This is just
that's sick.
this
What is
just
going
back
on
to-
here? This
There's
is like a-
slow-mo. Every time you pull your
that's
gun,
awesome.
or every time you pull your shotgun, which has limited bullets, or you use weapons from the car, everything goes into slow-mo, which is what you need. Because I probably should have started with the top line. This is Burnout Takedown /
Yeah,
Revenge Driving
that's exactly
meets
what I'm-
Batman Arkham Combat.
Yep.
Super gratifying, super simple, super counter-heavy, meets an early Assassin's Creed or Ubisoft checklist game. And
Right.
all dressed up in the aesthetic which I love, which is Mad Max. And it just feels fantastic. And I sunk 2 to 3 hours a night for the best part of 2 to 3 weeks and just finished the main campaign, and now have the last big chapter of the world to explore, and just sometimes just go for a drive. I really, really love this game, and I'm so glad I revisited it. And I think a lot of videos on YouTube are like, how this game is now a 9.
Yeah.
People have come
Yeah.
back to it, and they've really, changed gears. On it. Thank you very much. Scabrous Scrotus, says Lord Phoenix, is the character. And the only other anecdote I want to talk about just narratively, which really threw me, is that I went and saw Furiosa. The antagonist in that is played by Chris Hemsworth, is called Dementus.
Yeah.
And because that lore was already available when they built this game, one of the side missions I went on was to go and get Dementus's chariot that was built out of motorbikes. And I was like, oh cool, that's like the movie I just watched. I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? this game came out in 2015, and the chariot I just saw was in a movie that came out this year. So it's really lovely how it ties into stuff from George's universe.
I just hope there was someone who, when saw Furiosa, heard the name Dementors, saw him, and was like, "Oh, that's like in that game that I played 9 years ago."
Well, yeah.
This like is legitimately a 2024 looking game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
It
looks
is.
Nothing
I played
about
it.
this that makes me go, okay, this is an old game and you're finding the joy in it. It's like,
Yeah.
if this came out today, I'd be like, sick.
Like the
let's go.
ragdolling,
The
everything,
ragdoll, the way they,
lighting.
the main car
fantastic.
combat we're seeing here, they put a lot of effort into, like, especially when the cars explode, they have the momentum and
Yeah.
that it rockets forward. I'd highly recommend turning the music off and listening to the Fury Road soundtrack through your
Yeah.
console while you play it.
Sick.
It was
I mean,
fantastic.
this is Avalanche, so they did Just
Just Cause,
Yeah,
yes.
and I can
Yeah.
see that with the grapple and like being able to drag cars.
This looks like a
around all
Just
the
Cause
ragdoll
game.
and
It
stuff.
totally,
like
it totally is.
Just
But
Cause.
instead of that
It's
sort
awesome.
of silly but fun world, this
Yeah.
has the mind of George Miller behind it all. So it just
Right.
feels a little bit more like this is built out of something that I loved.
We've
Wow.
been watching a lot of footage of like it
The
bright
drive.
in daytime, driving on the roads.
Josh,
but
if you scrub a little bit for us. Yeah,
I
sorry,
know
go.
there is like a darker side to the game as well. There's obviously a bunch of like
Rim Jobby. Sorry.
He's the big baddie. They all have amazing names. The organic
Oh
mechanic.
man.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
It's wild how this actually lets you see all of that crazy lore. But sorry, Pete, go on.
yeah. I mean, we're seeing basically halfway between bright daylight driving through the sand and you know what I remember this game for of like just like the gross maggoty.
You eat maggots for health.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have to
all
drink
that stuff,
water
like,
out of your canteen.
It really leans into like some survival mechanics, but in a way that is like grim
Yeah.
as this world is. It's yeah. I remember Barjo playing it for review. I think
Yep.
on Good Game, and he really loved it.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we scored it highly because it
I
had
think it
its
was an 8.
failings.
I
but
went back and watched it. Yeah.
He I just remember talking to him about it, and he was really passionately playing it. He thought it was sick.
It gets its hooks in a way that I feel these days feels really nostalgic. It feels nice it does feel a little retro, but it's something I think we miss in modern game design now because everything has to be the First Descendant, or I don't know. It's like this lets you just
what you mean.
enjoy like a classic single player game that has options about what you can do when you play it in that open world sense, but it's not overwhelming. And yeah, to your point about the world design and the lore, it's like it's really nice to get some time in this universe to let all the characters have heaps of exposition, to go down into the tunnels and see other factions that they didn't have time for, or they haven't shown in the films. It's established with those 2 really good movies as well, or it's been re-established, I should say. It just feels weighted in something that exists as another IP, which I like. It does really help carry my enjoyment of a game like this.
Yeah.
And to your point about being dark and grim, the landscapes and the views sometimes are beautiful. They're the last thing I'd love to try and get to is, Josh, if you wouldn't mind scrubbing almost to the end of this, just a little bit further back from this, please, before the storm kicks in, and maybe split the diff now. You occasionally run into these huge sandstorms. Yeah, just past this, so you can leave it here. Even at night, the world looks really
The
beautiful.
lighting
and
looks incredible.
it is, and the
Like-
sparseness of it, the skyboxes with the clouds catch sunsets, or nighttime it's
Yeah.
like moonlit skies, like make it feel really beautiful for what is a wasteland. But occasionally you will get these storms that come in, and it's like you either have to seek shelter or get into your car. And when they kick in, they are intense. The sound design, and then it's either your goal to like drive your car somewhere safe, or try and pick up rare loot boxes that'll fly around, or of damage that'll fly. Have to damage loot boxes that are only seen in these big storms that's now currently flying in
Whoa,
over the
I'm
horizon.
kind of like in awe of how good that sandstorm looks. Like it looks the volumetric
that
fog,
the
like, that looks
music, and Josh,
incredible.
crank a little bit of sound for us once this goes in.
I love that you can drive first person as well. Holy moly.
That was sick.
And within this, I got attacked by some of the war boys. I got out of my car and got
Whoa.
smashed by debris that was flying into me.
What a cool effect, man.
It's
That's
really
sick.
fun. I was jaw aghast, just going, "What is happening?" As I was
yeah.
like, "What do I do? Where do I go?" It was something that I just didn't think was in a 2015 game, but
Yeah.
lo and behold, it does. I was playing on PS5. the console version. It's locked at 30, and it does have a bit of blur to it all. But it is a PC game, and I think people have probably played it on beefed up rigs and been able to, I wouldn't say mod, just adjust it in a way that it looks sharp and runs at a smoother frame rate.
Yeah.
I wish I had, but I was very happy to play
I mean,
this
I'm
on
crazy.
consoles.
It's crazy how good it looks despite that. you know?
Yeah.
Totally.
Also, Austin and I were talking about this before because you mentioned the sound design of it, and yeah, that sounds terrifying. Like you sound like you're there in a horrible sandstorm.
Yep.
And I think
Yeah.
the crazy thing with sound design in games is like, if sound design's good, generally people won't speak up on it, but if it's bad,
Yeah,
they'll
it's
make a
very
note
obvious.
of saying it
Yeah.
because
Totally.
it's very, very obvious. But like something like that where it almost like completely nullifies your senses.
Yeah.
Feels like such a good use of it.
And every time you
know?
get in the car, it's just that those valves open up and it's just...
Sound of a V8 going
Well,
flat
Well, you don't
chat.
quite get. You've got to
Delightful.
upgrade, and I should quickly say the upgrade tree is incredibly addictive because it's your
Right.
car and max, and your car is your home, and you just want to bolt things
Oh, you
onto
cop
it.
one in the
You
noggin.
want to put spikes on. You want to put extra plate armor. You want to get the engine to go faster. You
Nice.
want to just make it. Bye, Ben.
Everyone wave to Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Famously hates Mad Max. Yeah, the the upgrading of your car and Max is great because the car is something really powerful, but Max, you upgrade his beard. You get more facial hair, and
Wow.
you get better jackets, which are just more
Wow.
torn and more 80s shoulder paddy as you go on. When you finish the main story, you get the proper Road Warrior jacket, and I was like, I went and took like photo mode, standing on
Yeah.
dunes. I was very happy, and
Cool.
yeah, I loved it.
It's awesome that you jump back and play that. And like for me, like I'm still coming to terms with this with like all art. It's so hard to accept with paintings, right? Because you expect paintings to be old.
Sure.
It's hard to go back and listen to like old music and not have this feeling like you're not exploring new stuff. But like I was thinking about, someone was talking about music, and I can't remember what it was, a podcast or a YouTube video or something, and saying how if you've not heard it before, it is new. If it's new to you, it's new, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
We don't do that enough in games. We've just looked at a game that looks like it's from the 90s. I'm playing a game that has like old game design in it, and that's problematic in a very modern game. You've got an old game that is
Almost 10 years old.
almost 10 years old, but is modern in so many ways. It's
Yep.
like
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time just looking at what's coming next in games, but like
It's-
there's a lot of gold in the past, and
Yeah.
if you haven't played it, like it's
It
worth going back.
weirdly
and
enough,
looking
I
at.
feel like this might be relatable for chat. Maybe you guys. It takes a weird amount of energy and like to make me play an old game and
Yeah.
stick with it. It was
Totally.
like there's new stuff. I'm like, but you're really loving this. Just keep playing it. You're enjoying it. Finish it. Like tick it off your list. And it took a lot of willpower. Weirdly enough.
Yeah.
I know. I
And
think
it's
it's just something we're conditioned to
Totally,
look for the
totally.
next game coming out.
Yeah.
So much of
Yeah.
our lives is like watching the
Yeah.
news cycle of what's coming
It
out
was
soon.
Totally.
very comfortable. And again, my brain hooked it to the movies app. Use that as the thing that keeps
And that's
you in
why
this.
everyone should go back and play BioShock 2. Really good game.
thought you were saying everyone
You
should go
back and play BioShock
I was gonna say there's
2.
kind of like a purity to playing it when it's no longer part of like the bigger conversation. It feels like it's your
Totally.
own special thing.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
I had this recently where I went back and played Assassin's Creed Origins. There've been and there's been like 2 more open world ones, but I was like, I want to play this one. And just the fact that I wasn't looking anything up, no one was talking to me about it.
Yep.
It just felt like my own special thing, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
so good.
because we mentioned Just Cause 2 because same
Sorry.
give it back.
Break it.
Because same developer, and I had friends of the show, the Thumb Cramps boys, come to Sydney, and when they were staying here, they brought an Xbox 360 with them, and we played nothing but Just Cause 2.
Yeah.
Nothing but Just Cause 2 for the entire time. And boy, is that a fun
They
game.
make
Yeah.
some fun
Oh my
sandboxes. to play.
God.
Sandy
Avalanche.
boxes,
Sandy
especially.
boxes, shouts out. Ouch.
Totally.
There you go. We've been.
Because it's in a desert.
Oh, ouch.
Hey, oh.